What's good, everyone? It's from 17. Today we got part 2 to everything wrong with UFC 4. As always, this is going to be with solid criticism, legitimate critique, and what can be done to kind of help improve upon this series, because this game has a litany of issues. Like, for example, on ranked championships, there's little integrity when it comes to ranked championships in comparison to previous titles. You know, there's a lot of exploits, a lot of no-loss glitches, similar issues that kind of plagued us on UFC 3. You lose less points for quitting on this game, so people can really kind of maintain their ranking so far. And honestly, with ranked championships, it's just a complete mess. You're forced to be locked in to 2 different weight classes every hour. You can't even choose which one. So when it comes to content creators, we're forced to be like hopeful that we get the fighter that we want to showcase. Other than that, we have to quit out and then try again. There's oversized creative fighters in ranked championships that people use specifically to abuse certain exploits by making their creative fighter a lot bigger than what's supposed to be humanly possible at said weight classes. And I discussed that the ranked championships having creative fighters was going to be an issue, and that's one of the issues that's in there now, and nothing's been kind of done about that. So, and we're all pretty aware that the way that the direction of the game went is kind of to cater toward casual play, and that has brought in a lot of issues, because now even the casual players that they tried to market it towards are making the exact same complaints that the higher level players are making. So take that into consideration with this video and the first video, right? I could go off on a tangent and then complain about this and that, but I just want to when the devs, if they do watch this and when they do watch this, you got to understand that this is coming from a place where I'm a concerned player, I'm a concerned consumer, I'm also a game changer as well. But this is like a lot of this stuff, you know, some of it we didn't even ask for, and some of it just doesn't help us when you water certain things down to appease to a part of the player base that sometimes they don't even stick around and play after 1 or 2 weeks. I know you guys got your sales, but then what about us? What about the other players that stay and play this game and go through it all? So, going on to online ranked championships, in the previous title, I'd say that it was a lot more prestigious to get higher up on the leaderboards, right? You know, you had the win-loss ratio that kind of showed, you know, oh, how legit, how consistent is this said player. In Division 20, it's not anything prestigious, mainly because of course, all the exploits you can kind of use to get there. You don't really need to have a certain amount of fights, but you can see here, everybody here in the top 100 is Division 20. Now, if you're maybe a really, really mediocre player, you might think this is something legitimate and crazy, but no, it's actually not. Like, this is something that you can get within 1 or 2 hours of just don't lose for like an hour and 2 hours, and boom, you're in Division 20. I did it on a stream not too long ago. And it's just, like, at that point, most of ranked is also just infested with people who they'll do anything to win. They'll take advantage of things that clearly aren't realistic, that aren't, you know, legitimate in terms of gameplay. And look right here, I'll show you my thing, right? They hit Division 20 Season 4 because I was just streaming. I went 69-0 on ranked championships. Like, I hit Division 20 with less than like 40-something fights. Haven't lost on ranked at all on this freaking, my main account. And then I just got bored because it's like, wow, there's not really anything to strive for. There's not really a competitive aspect to it where it really makes me want to say, oh, I want to beat this guy on the leaderboards. When most of it is just consisting of players that are abusing mechanics that should have been fixed months ago from the release of this game, that could have been avoided had we had a beta that ran a little bit longer. We could have solved all these issues beforehand. One of the biggest issues, 9 months later, just using the standing guillotine. Like, just like this, just to drain our stamina. This is Kobe Covington, who has like 99 freaking cardio. All his short-term stamina is already down to where it says, nah, and stamina. Like, that's all it took. All it legitimately took. And in the most recent patch, we know they didn't test. I don't know what the bug testers do. I legitimately don't know, or if they play test or patch it all, because us game changers, we can't test it. That's public knowledge. We don't test it. All I'm doing here is pressing R2. And then when I release R2, I'm losing all my short-term stamina. And again, I'm reiterating the fact, we as game changers who have been hand-picked and chosen to give our suggestions to kind of fix this game, we're not given the option to play patches. If they were to allow us to play builds like betas or alpha builds before a patch drops, we could solve a lot of more problems. Hell, even let the community kind of get involved and have a select few people get to be able to play some type of test build. Look, all my stamina is gone from simply holding his bicep and then releasing R2. There is nothing that justifies this. And I don't even know how nobody could caught this. There's nothing that can justify letting something like this slip by. Now, I am aware they're going to be on to a fix for this, But I don't know how long it's gonna take. Like maybe it could take a couple, 2-3 days. But you know, people are just gonna be running amok. Hey, let me just get you to the cage real quick. I know you're gonna have to try to get out. If you have to deal with this, you gotta deal with the knees. You also gotta deal with the standing guillotine when you have extremely low short-term stamina, because I'm forcing you to work there, and then you're gonna kill all your long-term stamina. There's no way in hell you're getting out. There's no way in hell you're getting out unless you're a 5-year-old playing this game and you don't understand how to do sub defense. And this is just one of those things that, if you know, I will say this about the community too. Sometimes y'all just be bugging out and y'all don't appreciate the dev interaction that we do have, right? And, you know, if you can just work hand in hand with each other, maybe that can open up more doors for us to get some testing done. And then we can help gear the game towards the direction we want. Like, look right here with this camera angle manipulation. I could be trying to get out right here, back here with RDA, and I'm not going to get out because the guy's just spinning me around in a circle. Same thing here with the standing guillotine, right? Like, I can just go and take him, and I'm just going to spin him around, right? The way to escape a standing guillotine in this game, if you don't deny it with R2, is to back out. How the hell am I supposed to back out if he's turning me out in a circle? It's been 9 months. 9 months, and there's no penalty on the attacker for doing that. You know, if you have a significant stamina disadvantage when you start the guillotine, you can fix that right away. All you gotta do is just spin. And I can already think of plenty of suggestions to try and fix it. You know, if you spin around and you're the attacker, it should burn out your arms more. It should make it easier for the guy on defense to escape if somebody's trying to spin you around in the stick for the standing guillotine, right? And this also exacerbates the other issues, you know, like you can just mix this up. But hey, I'm going to threaten this. I can use every time I get in the clinch. If you're not already backing out and you don't try to fire back or whatnot, even if you do fire back, you can still get caught in this. The guy can just really, you know, circle you this way, maybe insert single under, and now you have to deal with the threat of either a takedown or the individual going for a standing guillotine itself. And this is honestly the state of the game of where it's at. And I know I said this in part 1, you know, part of it's also due to the fact that we're missing a lot of positions in between in the grappling that should have never been taken out in the first place. If you haven't watched part 1, go watch part 1 and you'll understand what I'm talking about with the lack of double unders, over unders, repummeling, etc., etc. And this is what we're kind of left with. You know, we're forced to having to deal with these specific mix-ups that don't really take much skill, and to the point where certain things had to have been banned from competition. You know, that's how bad it's gotten to the point. It's just not that good. So what can we do as a community as well to kind of have EA, have the developers, have us help them and them help us, right? Well, for starters, you know, let us test. Let the community have a select few people that are able to play test patches before they drop, right? Or allow the game changers to do that too. Or just even allow, like, you know, a glimpse of gameplay or something, or like a live stream, and have the developers, you know, maybe talk to the community as EA's live streaming, so then somebody can maybe potentially brainstorm, hey, can you check this? If you guys made a change here with the clinch stamina, can you guys make sure that the clinch stamina isn't drastically affecting another area? Like, look right here. Like right here, things of that nature. You know, having that work together mentality instead of keeping the community in the dark, it will go a long way, not only to the communities and, you know, involvement and their happiness, but also to your consumers, like people who maybe aren't involved in like forums and discords and all that stuff. You help out everybody, you make more money, you have a happy customer, and that could be the best first step that EA could take into helping save this game. So with that being said, you know, I said all I can with regards to like the online experience. I could go on and on about that, but it's better to just kind of get to the point there. That's a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the striking. Now, in the description for this video, it'll have Marshall Mind's blog for his suggestions for UFC 5. This is something that a lot of the game changers also talked about with terms to how the lack of realistic things with what EA has done for this game hurts it in the long process. Like, for example, you know, they've done things with like movement, with the side steps, with the lunges, the stepping strikes, the lunging strikes, and that's all cool. It's not like they haven't made an effort in that regard, but little things that we may not even have noticed in the first place are, you know, affect the game in terms of tracking, in terms of striking, in terms of precision needed to actually be a legitimate striker. So I'm going to have you look at something, and this is something that Marshall states out as well. With the game sliding, you ever notice that the stationary strikes are not truly stationary? Go ahead. Be stationary, pump out a couple jabs, right? You're going to stay in the same spot. Nothing's going to force you to slide. In this game, it forces you to slide. I could throw out the same combination right here in real life, and I'm not going to slide forward like this. Look how Conor just skipped over and slid over to hit Eddie Alvarez. That's what happens when you have the game trying to make decisions for you. Look, if something is out of range, it needs to remain out of range, and they should not be given baby adjustments from the game to do so, right? If I'm going to throw a planted stationary strike, right, with Conor McGregor, right? If I'm out of range here, I should remain out of range. I should not come forward. If I'm in proper range here, then I should be landing my strike, right? If I want to come forward and drop Eddie Alvarez with a strike, kind of what Conor did there, then that's good. Same thing with this was a good idea. The lunging strikes were a really good idea, but watch the slide. There's no step in between. And you'll see on Marshall's blog, right, he has a gif of Anderson Silva. I think he's fighting Forrest Griffin. And he's lunging forward, and his back foot's going to step, right? As he's lunging forward to land a strike here, Anderson's just sliding. He's sliding, he's gliding like he's on a hoverboard. And that just doesn't, to the human eye, that's extremely, extremely unappealing, and it's pretty obvious. So, next up is going to be with regards to the striking. You ever notice the lack of hit reactions on how things work, right? So, with the animations not selling, this is what I mean, right? I'm RDA, I just took a calf kick to the leg. I'm not moving. I just took a 150, probably going to 70 after weighing in, right? He's kicking my leg. My leg is not moving. Go take a kick from any of your friends who do MMA and let me know if your leg doesn't move if you're eating a full power kick from one of your friends, right? The only way his leg is going to move is if he's like laterally moving and the game will register the hit reaction. But I'm taking full-fledged kicks from Rafael Dos Anjos. Oh yeah, man, my leg's fine. There's nothing. Nothing, right? It happens when I have Eddie moving, right? There's like the hit reaction a couple times there, right? With the calf kick there. If I hit him low on the calf, he stumbles, right? If he's moving to the inside, I'll get more of a reaction. This provides that feeling, oh yes, he's getting hit, and that's a little bit more immersive. It's a lot more realistic. When you see like the body kicks land, right? You see that stagger. You see that animation, right? Sometimes when you see them hit their face, right? You see their face stagger. But even when it comes to like, say, blocking or whatnot, right? You could be blocking a strike, like a full power head kick, spinning heel kick. How many times have you guys seen fighters block kicks? Good example, Robert Whittaker versus Jared Cannonier. He blocked Robert Whittaker's kick. His body is moving. That's a strong man. Whereas like here when you're blocking, okay, it's not much. My body's not moving in that said direction, even though I just got kicked by a pretty efficient kicker, right? Just block that kick, nothing. I'm just going to be able to keep tumbling forward. If you ever sparred before, and you've taken a kick from somebody who's really freaking good, you're not just, my forearm's barely moving there, and I'm not moving from my position there. So keep that in mind, that if EA wants to, make this game a lot more realistic, you got to work on the little things like this. Take the time to work on the little things. We waited 2.5 years for this game. On top of this, it's also little variation between the strike animations. Now, they did land, like, they added the calf kick. Animation ain't exactly too pretty, right? Unfortunately, that also brought an issue where, like, if you try to throw, like, regular kicks, there's like a little blend at the end there, and it's not really too pretty. It kind of ruined like the previous kick animation. They made an effort there, but it didn't really work out to as expected. Is it effective? Somewhat. But yeah, when it comes to the hooks, the punch, and I think Marshall actually covered this in one of his videos, where like nearly all the strikes are the same. Outside of a couple signature strikes, like say T.J. Dillashaw's signature hook, Wonder Boy's signature kicks, Carlos Esparza's signature roll, Max Holloway's shifting combos, right? They had those ideas in place, right? If you can do those signature stuff, you can do it from most of the fighters. You can have a certain base. Hey, this is level this should look like this. But for example, like RDA and Eddie Alvarez, like they kick basically the same way. But one thing they could have done, they could have extracted animations from Fight Night. They could have extracted animations from Undisputed 3. Even in this game, if you ever notice, when you slip a specific way, the hook animations come out different. Now right here, you'll see that RDA and Eddie Alvarez, it's kind of like they're shadow boxing. They're like shadow boxing. Even though they're punching with all their power, it's kind of like they're shadow boxing. They're just, whatever. Even if you whiff a strike. And I know you'll see it. If you whiff a strike, your body weight is still kind of in the same spot. Like I'm whiffing here, I'm going for power. I'm shadow boxing. That's what it looks like. But EA, they have the resources to do this. You guys can extract some punches from Fight Night Champion and, kind of rehash them, right? You can take these animations right here, these flipping and dipping animations for like that change the animation for the punch. Look how different this looks. It's a lot cleaner. And you could modify this for certain fighters. Not everybody throws a perfect Muay Thai elite body hook. Everybody throws their punches a little bit differently, and that will make the game feel a lot more authentic in gameplay, a lot more authentic in replay value. There's so many things that they could have worked on, and they should have worked on. And if we're gonna have a next title, because they signed a contract for the next game, these are the things. On top of fixing all the gameplay issues, on top of building more of a strong connection with the community and with legitimate people who aren't going to be harassing people, right? That's where you want to go. So there's another thing here that kind of detracts from the striking, and this is part of the reason why both pressure fighting and also like even precision striking isn't really a thing, because there's an invisible wall between the fighters that stops them from like connecting to one another. If I go really close to Dominic Reyes, right, there's no brief intermission. I can throw forward moving combinations, and you'll see this on Henry's blog that's in the description. You will see the gif of Jan Blachowicz and Dominic Reyes. He's coming forward, crashing forward with like a 3-4 piece combination, and there is a brief moment where they crash. Like right there, I came forward with a 1-2 combination. I legitimately, right there, all my body weight is going forward. I should be crashing into him, but because of this invisible wall, I'm good to keep on throwing these 3-4 piece combinations, and nothing is forcing me to reassess the situation, to examine my striking and making sure I don't stuff my power. And those of you who actually strike, who've actually boxed, you know what I'm talking about. Your boxing coaches have definitely told you before, don't crowd your power. So here you can do this, right? You can slip into the clinch, but this should honestly something similar to this, and there's certain little positions that Henry brought up in his blog. He brought up like the little positions, like a head-to-head from colliding, head-to-head from advancing, shoulder-to-shoulder, brief over-under clinch, using like a little gif of Jose Aldo versus Chad Mendes, hand-to-hand. You could kind of use that further now. But look, I'm going to be slipping forward, I'm coming forward with all my weight into Dominic Reyes. You're going to tell me that I'm not going to crash into him? Because if you sparred before, you definitely fucking will. I'm just saying, and this is the invisible wall has to go if you want to help this franchise out. If I want to try and hit something that Leon Edwards hit on Gunnar Nelson when he crashed into him and hit him with a breaking strike and dropped him, that's not going to happen unless I slip, and it's just not going to be a thing. So what's my verdict on UFC 4? We waited 2.5 years for this. It could have been a lot better. Could have been a lot better. With all the suggestions that's been made, it could have been a lot better, Can you still enjoy this game? Can you still play with friends and have a good time? Yeah, you can, for sure. If you play a certain way or whatever you enjoy, you'll have a good time with this game. But really, part of the reason why all of us really play is because it's the only game on the market. It's an MMA game that's pretty decent. Try to play Bellator MMA. Try to play that Onslaught game. It's not going to be the same thing. We play it because we kind of have to, because they have the contract. EA has, the next 10 years we're going to deal with it. So I don't want to be playing the exact same game with, waiting 2.5 years to see UFC 3.5. If I'm going to be purchasing a new game, right? If my friends are going to be buying a new game, we want to play something that's going to keep us involved and not have moments where we're like, man, this freaking game, I can't believe they haven't fixed this yet. I can't believe that this is so unrealistic. This is why people exploit this and that. And you've seen constant exploits about stuff like that. And if you want to get deeper with like the fixes and the striking that definitely need to be made, again, take a look at Marshall's blog. Take in mind what you just watched. Take in mind of like the 2-part series to this. A lot could be said, but I don't want to be beating a dead horse. Enough has been said. The only thing we can do now, with what little patches we may have left remaining, we got to talk to the devs, push for a little bit more community involvement when it comes to UFC 5, because, the patch cycle is almost up. And I just don't want to see this when it comes to the next game. I know the next part of this, what they have done right on UFC 4, there's a couple things, but this game could have been a lot better. Mero 17, I'm out of here.